right, Shalom. I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth, and double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring, the house of David, the elect, that's pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers, and shalom to the elect. I'm back with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit, the Rakah Kodash. So in this quick lesson, I wanted to show an example of a key characteristic of the biblical Edomite, which is written here in Genesis, the 25th chapter. All right. This word characteristic here in the definition, it reads, it says, being a feature that helps to distinguish a person or thing distinctive. It says pertaining to or serving to constitute the character, showing the character or distinctive qualities or traits of a person or thing, peculiar, distinctive, right? It says here, a feature that helps to identify, tell apart, or describe recognizably a distinguishing mark or trait. So one of the distinguishing marks or traits of Esau, or the Edomite, as the scriptures say here in Genesis 25th chapter, that he would be a man of the field. All right, and I want to read to that point. We'll start here in Genesis 25 and 21, and it reads, it says, and Isaac entreated the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. Verse 22. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, which Rebekah went to inquire of a prophet. Right? Verse 23 says, and the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb. All right. So these were 2 separate nations inside the womb of Rebekah. Okay. She had good and evil in her womb. All right. These were 2 separate nations. All right. It says 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people should be separated from thy bowels. All right. So pretty much Esau and Jacob were in 2 separate placentas. Right? And it says 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people should be stronger than the other people. Right? Jacob would be stronger than Esau. And we see that today through Esau's genetics and whatnot. Esau knows who the superior people are. This is why these Edomites came out with the scientific racism about the so-called Negro being inferior, having smaller brains, descended from monkeys and all of that. All of that bullshit that's been pretty much debunked by the spirit of truth. All right. So Esau knows who the stronger people are. Real quick, Deuteronomy 7:6, just to add on. This is Deuteronomy 7:6. It says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, thy power. And thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. All right. Israel is a special people unto the Lord himself. All right. They are the chosen people of the Lord. All right. And the Most High have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Israelites are above all the people, all the nations that are upon the face of the earth. These are the superior people. These people will be stronger than the rest of the nations. They will be over the rest of the nations, right? The Israelites. Going back. All right, back in Genesis 25 and 23 again, it says, and the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people should be separated from thy bowels, and the one people should be stronger than the other people. And the elder shall serve the younger. All right, because Esau was born first. All right, and he's going to go into slavery under Jacob. All right, pursuant to Genesis chapter 27. All right, this is Genesis 27, and we'll start here at verse 22. All right, this is Genesis chapter 27, verse 22, and it reads, And this is when the Lord put the spirit upon Jacob's mother, all right, to deceive his father Isaac. All right, he had him put on the hairy garment to deceive his father Isaac as if he was Esau. All right, when you read into this chapter. All right, so we'll start here, Genesis 27 and verse 22. It says, "And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." Right? And this is where he supplanted his father, right, before the blessing, right? It says, "And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother's Esau's hands, so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am." Right? This is what Jacob is saying to his father Isaac. All right, he's telling him that he's Esau, right? "And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near now and kiss me, my son." Verse 27, "And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua have blessed." Right? And this point right here holds significance of what I'm about to bring out. It says, verse 28, it says, "Therefore, power give thee the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine." And this is the blessing that Jacob received. The point, verse 29, it says, "Let the people serve thee." Right? Let the people serve thee, going into the nations, right? "Let the people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee, and be Lord over thy brethren," right? So Jacob is going to rule over Esau in the kingdom of heaven. "And let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee," right? So let's go back. So back in Genesis chapter 25 and verse 24, and it reads, it says, "And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb." Verse 25, "And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau." Verse 26, "And after that came his brother out, and took hold on Esau's heel," all right, in which this is symbolic of Jacob would be on the heels of Esau, meaning Jacob is coming to pull Esau from power. All right? Because remember, they were fighting in their mother's womb. Right? So after that, his brother came out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Right? Let me add that, 2 Ezra 6. All right? This is 2 Ezra 6 and verse 7. It says, "Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth?" Right? So what should be the dividing of age, which we're in that time now, that transition, right? That transition of power. Verse 8, it says, "And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau." Right? So that played a heavy, significance in prophecy. All right? That eventually that Jacob will pull Esau from power. The point of verse 9, it says, "For Esau is the end of the world." Right? So the Edomite, all right, Esau would be the one ruling the earth, all right, at the end of the world. Okay? It wouldn't be Ishmael. It wouldn't be Japheth. It wouldn't be Ham. It's Esau, the Edomite. So it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Right? So Jacob, the Israelites, all right, are going to rule the world to come, in which they're going to have Esau and the nations in slavery. As we read that in Genesis, the 27th chapter. All right, it said, "Let the people serve thee, and the nations bow down to thee, and be Lord over thy brethren." That was the blessing that was given unto Jacob. All right, the inheritance. Okay, his rulership that he would have over the earth. Right? Going back, Genesis 25 in verse 27, the point. It says, "And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, right? So as we read the definition of the word characteristic, all right, which it says a feature that helps to identify, tell apart, or describe recognizably a distinguishing mark or trait. So part of Esau's distinguishing mark or trait, or that feature that helps identify who he is that he would be a cunning hunter and a man of the field, right? And I pulled that up in the chat GPT, the same verse in Genesis 25 and 27. All right, it says this verse from Genesis 25, 27 in the King James Bible. It describes the contrasting characters of the twin brothers Esau and Jacob, sons of Isaac and Rebekah. The point, it says Esau is portrayed as a cunning hunter, someone skilled in the wild and connected to the outdoors, man of the field. All right, so this is a distinguishing, characteristic trait of the biblical Edomite. And that's what I wanted to point out here, because this is all spiritual. Let's check this out. Okay, so it says here, hunting where Sergah can take hours. So Esau has a he has a pet lion, all right, in the wild that he goes hunting with, right? And I thought this was heavy too in the comment. This person said in the video before we play it, it says the fact that she, speaking about this this lioness, the fact that she lets you handle her kill is the most incredible thing to me. The bond you two share is truly amazing. Check this out. Showing you that this is the Edomite.
Walking side by side, me and the devil. Walking side by side, and I'm gonna see my man until I get satisfied. See, you don't see why, and you taught me around. Say, don't see why.
You see, so this is the spirit. The scripture said that he would be a cunning hunter and a man of the field, as we read in the chat GPT, right? Esau is portrayed as a cunning hunter, someone skilled in the wild and connected to the outdoors. Is that you can't deny that this is not the Edomite, man. All right, Esau is out here hunting with his pet lion, right, in the field. This is why when you watch these documentaries of Esau, you know he's in the swamp, he's in the forest, he's in the mountains in the snow. All right, hiding out, getting footage of the animals. He's linking up with wolves. Right? You know how Esau rolls when you watch these nature videos and whatnot. This is who he is by nature. This was part of his spirit. All right. This is that identifying marker, that characteristic that proves that this is him. All right. A man of the field, someone connected to the outdoors. Right. What did it say again? Someone skilled in the wild and connected to the outdoors. This is him. All right, so just another aspect of the scriptures being faithful and true. All right, so I thought when I saw this video, I was like, man, that's right there, Genesis 25. Okay, Genesis 25 and 27. You know, so the word of the Lord is faithful and true, man. It's plain to see. You know, with that, hey, shalom to the next one, shalom.